would like to welcome you today on behalf of the family of Karen Jay to this her memorial service. So March 25th, while a message filled with sorrow for Karen's family and for the police. And words can never express the impact of the passing of one of them. Your sister, your aunt, your mother, your stepmother, your grandmother. Unexpected death is even more simple. And we who gather here together, who are lost words, we can know how to express our support, our inspiration, and our love for you. That's why we're here, to support you, and to celebrate the life of one that you knew and loved. I didn't know Karen, but what I've heard is a remarkable lady, and I look forward to somebody who knows that well to what's going to happen this morning. So we have a number of folks who are participating in the service this morning. And we're going to begin with a very familiar song, the 23rd song. And Paul Cousins, who is a cousin, is during the 23rd song with us.
I guess it's sort of coincidence, eh? Last name Cousins. On behalf of the Cousins family, before I do this, it's nice to have something. Parents' family, for sure, and close friends. It wasn't too many Sundays and years gone by as we were back and forth either in Charlotte. Then it was at our house, or vice versa, we'd be there. It wasn't too many Sundays, I don't think that didn't happen. So it's nice that we're able to have this now today, for sure. Okay, the Psalm 23, Psalm of David. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me lie down in green pasture. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley and the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. For thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of my enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life. I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever.
Depending on the tradition of the church being involved in a funeral, some congregations will follow the eulogy. And Sheila has done a fine job of gathering together thoughts and memories. Doesn't have the capacity to stand up here and share it. And we have Marilyn Earl, who is childhood neighbor. So sit back and enjoy her memories.
Good morning, everyone. For those of you who don't know me, my maiden name was Peters, and I grew up next door to Charlotte and the family all my life. I'd like to thank Sheila for asking me to present the beautiful eulogy. I consider it an honor. Please bear with me. When someone passes, it falls to a family member to somehow capture that person's lifetime in a few words that can be shared at the funeral. Sheila has written the passage I am about to read, and she apologizes ahead for inaccuracy. This is based on her memories and knowledge of Karen's 66 years of life. She acknowledges that she can't capture everything, and so has employed artistic license in determining what to share with you today. Sheila hopes that the words she has written, and I am about to read for her, will help you all connect with Karen, share her very full, rich life, and capture her personality in such a way that you were touched by a personal memory of time shared with her. Karen is remembered as having worn a beautiful silver and gold pendant around her neck for lots of years. Terry is probably wearing it today. And James is probably wearing one his mother gave him as well. Karen searched for butterfly jewelry and owned several brooches and even a ring shaped like a butterfly. I'm not sure if Karen was drawn to butterflies because of their symmetry, or because of their beautiful colors, or because of the light and wispy way they fly through life, delighting people as they go. I'm not sure if she was aware that the simple butterfly can actually be viewed as a metaphor for life. But as I pondered her fascination with them since learning of her death, I began to realize that in many ways, the butterfly is an excellent metaphor for Karen's life journey. Everything in the plant and animal kingdom is built to survive, adapt to its circumstances to preserve life at all costs. So within nature, there is no shortage of metaphors for personal change. One of the best of these metaphors is the butterfly. Let's recall the life cycle of the butterfly for a minute, from caterpillar to chrysalis, to the butterfly emerging from the chrysalis and flying off into the big unknown world as a butterfly. The caterpillar surrenders itself to the transformation process and experiences a dramatic, often uncomfortable process of change. It puts aside any fears of the unknown, pushes aside any doubts that might have about whether it is up to this difficult process, and finally finds the strength required to release from the chrysalis and continue on with its life journey. This then is the powerful lesson we learn from the butterfly. Change is not always easy, but it is a necessary aspect of life. And change is a big theme in Karen's life. Let's start at the beginning. Karen was born on December 1st, 1955 to Art and Charlotte Jay, a sister for Irvin and Sheila, and she was later joined by her younger brother Scott. The Jay family lived in a house that their dad Art had built with his own hands in the small town of Borden. Life was simple in small towns of PEI in the 50s and 60s. Those were the days when kids played pick game, Mother May on with other neighborhood kids. And parents trusted that these children were safe and only required them to be home by dark. During this time, Karen met her lifelong friend Margaret at Sunday school. Margaret recently shared with me that when Mom told a 10-year-old Karen that she was waiting for her ship to come in, Karen took her literally and headed down to the caves to watch for that ship. Karen enjoyed the lifestyle that Borden provided. She finished elementary school and got to Athena to high school. Karen was a shy, sensitive young girl with blonde hair, blue eyes, a friendly personality, and a love of music. Margaret remembers that she and Karen would often sneak into Irvin's room when he wasn't home and sing along to the radio, belting out Ferry Across the Mersey, imagining themselves as rock stars. Karen finished high school, got a job as a switchboard operator, and moved into an apartment in Summerside with her friend Heather. During this time, Karen frequently made the trip to Wolfville, hitchhiking if necessary. Remember when we felt safe to do that? To spend time with her sister Sheila. Karen met and married Jim Evers and left Prince Edward Island to begin life as a military bride. So, transformation 1. This was the first of many butterfly-like transformations that Karen experienced in her lifetime. She was transformed from a bashful teen to a young bride and stepmother when Tracy, Jim's daughter from his first marriage, joined them. They settled into family life in Bonaparte, Alberta. During her time in Alberta, Karen developed special friendships that continued through her life. Harry Dobbs and Mark Elson became part of Karen's extended friendship family. And like her friend Margaret, they stayed in constant contact throughout her life. Just as a butterfly draws us to notice them, Karen had a knack for drawing in people she met and developing a connection that she nurtured. If you were Karen's friend, She cared about you, she called or texted often. She sent you sentimental cards on special occasions, and you felt your life enriched just by knowing her. Transformation number 2, proud mother. A few years passed and Karen became the mother of twins. The twins were only a few months old when she traveled in the cargo bay of Anarchus to visit her parents and introduce her PEI family to Terry and James. For a shy girl from a small town in PEI, the determination required to venture out on her own with not one, but 2 babies, to travel across the country, uncomfortably stuck in the belly of an airplane most frequently used for freight, showed she was beginning to develop grit, that ability to accomplish tough tasks in order to do what she needed or wanted to accomplish. She wanted to introduce her beautiful twins to her birth family and spend time with her parents and siblings in her beloved PEI. She wanted all of us to connect as a family. And of course, not only did she travel with 2 young babies, but she also arrived with a ton of baby paraphernalia and what became her signature abundance of suitcases. Anyone who has ever picked Karen up at an airport can attest to the fact she never mastered the art of traveling light. Transformation number 3, city girl. The family spent a year in Maryland and then moved to LA because Jim had accepted a job there. Now this move required Karen to once again transform herself as she learned to cope with the challenge of living in one of the largest cities in the US. Very big change for this small town girl from PEI, especially her boy. Karen had been a nervous young driver who reluctantly put the car in reverse, only when she had no other choice. So driving on LA freeways was way outside her comfort zone. Family members who visit the family in Long Beach recall traveling many extra miles through some pretty rough neighborhoods in order to avoid freeways, as Karen took them to see the sights that LA offered. Kim and Scott cherish memories of their visit to Long Beach and how Karen enjoyed watching Pierce, Sarah, and John as they explored all the wonders of Disneyland. By the way, Karen did eventually learn to drive on the freeway, although I don't think she ever really liked it. While in LA, Karen was a busy mother and homemaker who ventured into employment as a cleaner, a realtor, and a travel agent, forming many friendships that continued through her lifetime. It was at this time that Karen's faithful buddy Spike joined the Evers family. Another move, this time to Yuma for a couple of years, saw Karen driving one of 2 moving vans across country, once again doing whatever she needed to do at the time. The Evers family holidayed in many parts of the world, skied and camped in California, and had many great times together as a family. Unfortunately, tensions developed in the marriage, and as it became more fractured, Karen began to realize that she needed to prepare for an uncertain future. On a flight to support Mom during one of her illnesses, Karen struck up a conversation with a flight attendant who told her that Northwest Airlines was hiring flight attendants. The thought of being a flight attendant was quite intimidating. Karen did not consider herself young enough for this career move, but it provided her with some needed security, including the ability to travel at little cost to visit her family. So Karen called on all her innermost strength, revved up her courage, applied, and got the job. As was becoming a pattern in her life journey, Karen faced challenges that were a huge stress for her, but she completed the very demanding training process and began her career as a flight attendant. Transformation 4, single mom. When the marriage finally ended a couple of years later, James stayed in LA and Terry was attending the Northern University of Arizona. Karen continued her employment as a flight attendant. A few years later, when Northwest Airlines merged with Delta, in order to retain a job, Karen's only option was to accept a casual position and lived in shared accommodations with other flight attendants in New York, commuting to JFK and LaGuardia by a commuter bus, even when the flight got home in the middle of the night. Although she lived in LA, this move to New York required even more grit and determination as she faced the isolation and solitude of the crash pad. I can't imagine Karen's inner turmoil as she adjusted her loss of job security and even privacy, but she managed to respond to this turn of events with amazing strength and determination. Eventually, she was able to land a permanent position based in Detroit, and she moved to Nova, Michigan, spent a few years living with Carrie in Las Vegas, and was able to take advantage of the economic downturn and record low house prices in 2008 to purchase a lovely condo in Walled Lake, Michigan, suburb of Detroit. In the condo complex, she had 4 special friends: Angela, Fran, Gailana, and Sheila. Over her years in Walled Lake, they enjoyed regular meals out on the town, concerts, and movies together. Karen valued the simple, neighborly ways of supporting each other, like evening walks and coffee visits. Even arriving at her neighbor Sheila Glance's door in her housecoat from time to time. I think these friendly times reminded her of the visit she had watched Mom have with Kay, Pauline, and Rhea. Karen loved her trips home to connect with PEI family. Pierce, Sarah, John, Carrie, and Jeff finally remembered that Karen always arrived with a 5-pound bag of Haribo gummy bears for each household. Hence the gummy bears scattered around the room today. Karen was always generous, and she loved to be the beautiful Auntie Karen, bearing gifts for family and friends. Karen's flight attendant status provided lots of opportunity to travel, and she would often adjust her trips so that she could have a layover in the city where she could visit a friend. She was always especially excited when she was able to arrange a Vancouver layover and meet up with her brother Irving for a walk and dinner together at Stanley Park. Karen is well loved and respected by the Northwest Airlines Delta family. When we had a visitation for her in Detroit after she died, we were told over and over again how kind and empathetic Karen was. They also told us about her playfulness. Flight attendants conduct themselves professionally at all times, but Karen was known to have a pocket full of black jelly beans, and even though they were not to be seen eating in front of passengers, Karen would reach in with a mischievous grin, pop a black jelly bean in her own neck, and then quietly sneak one to a colleague to enjoy. As you enjoy the jelly beans we have set out today, picture Karen as she introduced some lighthearted fun into the busy work of a Delta flight crew. Facebook was a valuable tool for Karen. It enabled her to stay in touch with and support the many friendships she had collected along the way. She often said Facebook was her community. She spent hours every day catching up with friends and family, sharing a laugh, or offering support as needed. I think Facebook gave her that hometown feeling. It enabled her to feel that her family and friends were close, even when in fact they lived many miles away. Karen had a second brief marriage, but when this marriage proved to be less than ideal, she made a brave move to once again continue life as a single woman. Over the years, Karen made many trips to support family and PEI and to visit with friends, but her priority was always her children. If they needed her, she did whatever she could to support them, to spend time with them, to love and mother them. Terry provided Karen with 2 lovely granddaughters, Ella and Anna. Being a grandmother, that was a source of great pleasure for Karen. Terry and James, Ella and Anna are Karen's pride and joy. Karen treasured the time she shared with these 4 people. But Karen also had a step family, Wendy, Tracy, and Sean, and she loved them and their children and valued them as very important members of her family too. She embraced them all within her stepmother umbrella and did whatever she could to stay connected with them and to care for them. She wished nothing but the best for all of her children, stepchildren, and all their children. She wanted them all to live rich, satisfying lives, experience success and satisfaction, overcome adversity, and be supported through life's tougher times. When some of life's challenges touched any of her family members, she felt their pain, reached out to support them, and wished for them to find the inner strength she knew all too well would be required to face adversity and move bravely forward in life. That would still be her wish today. She would wish that you would fill your lives with positive experiences, enjoy treasured family relationships and friendship, successfully ride out the tough times that life will inevitably throw her way, and feel contentment and peace. Karen's life ended this March and has brought many moments of sadness for all of those who loved her, who called her mom or Nana, who called her sister, who called her aunt or cousin, or who called her friend. I want to conclude my eulogy for Karen with the following poem. A butterfly lights beside us like a sunbeam, and for a brief moment its glory and beauty belong to the world. But then it flies on again, and although we wish it could have stayed, we are so thankful to have seen it at all.
Thank you very much. I overheard a conversation which suggests that the sermon is pretty long. So I'm going to stand up and change your position for a minute.
Okay.
So you don't have to keep singing.
I just think I'm standing up because I'll knock back the thing again.
As has been stated, March 25th struck words of sorrow, pain, and loss. If we had our choice, each day would bring us good news. And we're very excited that we all could use good news each day. And I'm kind of curious, what would be the best news that you could possibly receive? Okay. Any particular day, what would be that best news? Started to think about that, and I had decided that maybe June 4th, which was a Saturday, would have been very good news if the phone had called me instead of somebody else to tell me to chase the eggs to the north. This is mine. I already had plans for that. Another bit of good news for me would be this coming Thursday when I'm out golfing with at least two people that are here, including Freddie, would be if I could golf as good as Freddie. That would be very good news. What's yours? I thought that maybe if Keaton had a change of heart and apologized and started rebuilding the crane, that would be. You've probably got some good news that you would like to hear each day. We heard from David, the author of Psalm 23, which is actually a poem. I don't know if you knew this, but it's supposed to be sung along. Okay? Now, Frankie and Robbie have volunteered to come and sing. These songs were all poems that were sung by people together. And the 23rd song wasn't the only one that David wrote. He wrote a lot of them. And number 143 was another. Now, he wasn't having a particularly good day. Let me read what some of that song says. My spirit grows faint within me. My heart within me is dismayed. I remember the days of long ago. I spread my hands out before you. My soul thirsts for you like a parched land. Some of you know what that feels like today. Now, what would have been the best news for David? Well, here's what he said. Let the morning bring me word of your unfailing love. It's interesting. Have you ever thought how wonderful it would be if every day you could have some good news that God loves you exactly the way you are? I think that's pretty good news. Walled Lake, Michigan was Karen's home. Just 4 hours west and 60 years ago, Karl Barth, a leading world famous theologian, had just finished delivering a lecture in the Rockefeller Chapel on the campus of the University of Chicago, one of the world's leading research centers. He was finished and was fielding questions from the audience. One student stood up, and as the crowd kind of collected and gasped, he says to Karl Barth, I want you to summarize everything you know about theology in one sentence. The report says that Karl Barth never missed a beat, and he said, I can do it in the words of the song I learned my mother's name. Jesus loves me, this I know. For the Bible tells me so. So I've had a number of conversations with Sheila about this event that we shared together today. And one of the things that I inquired of Sheila was, what kind of a crowd do you belong to? Now, here's what she said to describe She said, well, we are Christian, but not very churchy, if you know what I mean. Well, that's kind of a relief, because in spite of the fact that I'm a minister, I don't do churchy very well either. And I recognize that in spite of her general description of you folks all being kind of Christian, I'm sure we are represented as a diverse community with people with a variety of beliefs, or maybe none. And I recognize that, and I'm going to talk to you from a Christian perspective. Now, there are 3 couples that get around together on a pretty regular basis, along with the non-church friends. My wife and I are one of those couples, and we fit in pretty well with non-church. Right? Now, what's neat is a 4-word expression that I hear from time to time from these not very churchy girls. Now, it's not a 4-letter word. It's a 4-word expression. You may hear a 4-letter word occasionally from guys. Here's what these ladies say. And I usually hear it a lot of times somebody is going through a hard time. 4 words: let go and let God. Now, if you knew those women the way I know those women, you can be guaranteed things have to get pretty bad before they'll let go of anything. And God's probably the only person you can possibly trust, because I know Freddie and I and a couple of other guys, they've been out of the decision making for a number of years. David said, in effect, exactly that. Let the morning bring me words of your unfading love, for I have put my trust in you. What was David really saying? He was really saying, I need continual confirmation that I am loved by God because I have put my trust in you. Because if you don't, I've got to move on to plan B, and I really don't have plan B at hand. Let the morning bring me words of God's unfailing love. And it reminds me of that beautiful song that Susan Boyle launched fame in her Amazing Grace. And it says, you have to be there. You have to. My life I have placed in your keep. And without you, I am drifting on a dark and stormy sea. You have to be there, you have to. Without you, I drown in the deep. Too far from land. The waters drag me down. I reach for your hand. So how do we get morning news that God loves us? Everyone, how do you get that news? Well, I kind of thought nice if we could get a text. You know? Hey Terry, it's just God, just on I love you again. That would be kind of nice. Or Bill, hey, you really screwed up yesterday, but I still love you. Well, that doesn't happen. But there are a couple of ways that we get the good news if we're prepared to hear it that I never really considered before. You see, Jesus' disciples were very upset because Jesus had announced to them that he was going to leave them. And they were feeling very fearful. Their guide, their teacher, their counselor for 3 years was going. And they would feel alone. Now listen to what Jesus says to them. I will ask the Father, and he will give you another counselor to be with you forever. The Spirit of truth, you know him, for he lives with you and will be in you. He will guide you into all truth. I will not leave you as orphans. Counselor, the Holy Spirit, whom the Father will send in my name, will teach you all things and will remind you of everything I have said. Peace I leave with you, my peace I give you. Do not let your hearts be troubled and do not be afraid. We tend to look at Jesus from a historical perspective. But that still small voice that we hear, that sense of something outside ourselves that is giving us guidance, insight, a little bit of nurture, a lot of encouragement. That is God's Spirit that Christ asked his Father to send to us when he was gone. And I can guarantee you that if we are prepared to learn to listen, that voice, that Spirit, encourages us every day to be our love unconditionally. Now, there's one other way that this happens, and I hesitate to go there because the light kind of pulled me up, send me out the door before I'm finished. The book of Hebrews says something very fascinating about the cloud. Now, we kind of think clouds are a temporary event and information stored there. Well, the book of Hebrews says that we are surrounded by a great cloud of witnesses. Well, who are these people? Who are this cloud? You probably didn't see them drifting around here. If you did, I think somebody needs to talk to you, but you probably haven't seen this cloud of witnesses, but the scripture teaches very clearly that those who have gone before us come to encourage us and help us to find our way. The saints who have gone before us, we've said, they're witnesses. They're witnesses of their lives, of how God helped them. And they are cheering us on. Probably watch enough sports to know that there is no city like Toronto in any sport in North America that knows how to cheer their people on. We were watching a basketball game some time ago, and I think they were down in Philadelphia, and the Philadelphia team wasn't doing too well. And the crowd started booing them and stood up and walked out of the stadium. Toronto fans, they may get quiet, but there is their team in the last round. And this cloud of witnesses is like that. They are encouraging and supporting us. Well, who were they? Well, the Bible says there was some, you might recognize the name Noah. He was a fairly accomplished carpenter. There was Moses, and his parents were the ones that were the real heroes. And they put a baby in a little makeshift raft and then hid him for 3 months. There's a lady called Rahab who was actually a prostitute who helped the Israelites escape potential captivity when they were leaving to the promised land. And of course, there was David. And there's some folks you have. And I'll bet as I'm standing here, there's probably somebody in your mind who said, there is somebody who I view as a witness of God's love. And those are the people that are cheering us on. These are people who have let go and let go. Not necessarily superstitious. Some of them are saints that have faith the size of a mustard seed. You know how big a mustard seed is? See it? That's how big a mustard seed is. Jesus said, faith the size of a mustard seed still counts. And there are countless people who have gone before you who have been people who struggle with faith, struggled with belief. Their best prayer is, Lord, I believe, help my unbelief. Folks who lived out their lives in response to that still small voice of God's Spirit, who are cheering you and I on, keep up the good work. I tried a little bit of daring experience. I was the resource person for a graduating class of theology students a number of years ago. And I was facilitating a weekend retreat that they had. And I decided on a kind of impulse that I was going to introduce this passage to them. When I just said, since we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses, let's throw off everything that hinders us, and let's run with grace, run with perseverance the race that's marked out before us. And I said to them, have any of you ever experienced one of these cloud of witnesses cheering you on? And I expected this deafening silence from these theology students. And what shocked me was the energy that just entered into that conversation for the next hour. There were 17 students there, and 15 of them couldn't wait to tell the others about a time they felt the presence of a person, sense of the Spirit, that God was communicating and through that person of his encouragement. And it was a mother, it was a father, it was a school teacher, it was a grandmother. Grandmothers got pretty good support in that process. And I decided I was going to take a chance and tell them about my father. And I grew up in Alberta, so I'm Big Ben. He was 6'5", gentle Ben, my family all by him. And Dad passed away. The best way to die is he sat down in bed one night at 89, laid back, and he was gone. That's just wonderful. But Dad surprised me a couple times since his passing. In ways that just really surprised me. I was, for those of you who know Cavendish, I used to have Cambridge Spirits Country Inn, and I was up in the shop changing the oil on one time. And the last thing I was thinking about was anything related to this. And all of a sudden I had this sense that Dad was there. Dad was somebody that I looked at as a good old saint. And I almost asked him to pass me a rich. And I could feel him saying, keep up the good work, son. And that's what Dad always did. Call every week, how's it going? Keep up the good work. We are surrounded by a cloud of witnesses who are cheering us on. We have people in our lives who have gone before us who are the faithful ones. You know, my greatest wish is the people that come behind me are going to find me faithful. And I'm sure you have those same people in your life. I want to be one of those people who fulfills David's
Brush your teeth.
God's unfailing love. Let us fix our eyes on Jesus, the author and perfecter of our faith, and one perseverance of the race that is marked out before us. Well, this time we have a poem, and Linda is going to come. Very this is your opportunity. Wendy, I don't know if you just want to introduce your family. And you are going to play.
Amazing words.
Thank you.
And Wendy is Karen's stepdaughter and grandchild.
We receive all the musical talent in the family.
I think someone is brushing their teeth. Please mute your phone.
Those encouraging moments. I think I'm in my right place now. Linda Boswick to come and share a poem with us. You can explain.
Everyone. First, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Linda Bostwick, and I'm also one of the several cousins. Most probably more affectionately remembered as Papa, Karen and her siblings. First of all, I'd like to thank Sheila for giving me the opportunity to come and be part of the service of remembrance of Karen. In keeping with the butterfly theme, imagery Karen loves so much, I'd like to read this short poem that I feel symbolizes what we, I'm sure, hope that Karen is currently feeling right now. The butterfly emerges from its silken shell. Reborn, it arises, no longer bound to earth. Free at last, the butterfly glides to heights unknown before. So do our loved ones find a beautiful release. As earthbound no more, they leave our sight and joyfully rise to a garden of matchless beauty, a face of light and peace.
So you can see just a link for two simple announcements. We are going to make a transformation in terms of very eyes, in place where you're sitting. So we become a food service venue. You have to get others to do that. So that's going to be outside. Some of you may have got them, a bunch of chairs. So we're generally going to use outdoors as an extension of the space here. But specifically, as soon as we are finished here, we will ask you to move out and have the movements outside while we get the situation rearranged. And we will take Karen's ashes and prepare then for transport later on for our 3 o'clock service of committal. That information in the literature. So we'll ask you to stand now. And we'll we're very thankful for the chance we have to be together to celebrate Karen's life. Remember the beautiful and special times that we felt together. And to know that none of us are alone, to know that you have sent your spirit to be close and personal to each one of us, and that we have those who have gone before us, who are encouraging us to persevere and live out the life that is set before us in the race that is marked for us. Thank you for your presence. Thank you for the words. Thank you for the beautiful music. And thank you for your unfailing love for each one of us.